Hello everyone, I'm Father Ron from Sacred Heart, and here today interviewing Bishop Hanifen for the 100th anniversary of Sacred Heart Church. Bishop Hanifen, I am so delighted to sit with you. This is great. Thank you so much for doing this. You know, as we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of Sacred Heart Church, I was wondering if you could tell us some stories about the history of Sacred Heart, the Oblates, Holy Cross beginning there, sort of the stories that you have of the beginning of the diocese in that time. So, welcome.
Thanks, Father Ron. When I came down here, I found out that the only parish in, I think, the Archdiocese of Denver at that time, that we weren't a diocese yet, with Sacred Heart, had a what they call a beneplacitum. And that happened, it was a canonical thing, and so when a religious community took a parish and owned it,
right,
they received from Rome what was called, it pleases us, a beneplacitum, that you have this. But since Rome was pleased, Rome had to become displeased for that parish to fall into the hands of another community. So then that was in 1921 or something when the parish was first taken over.
22, yeah.
And the Oblates of Mary Immaculate out of Texas were engaged in the pastoring of that parish and Ute Pass. They were also taking care of up Ute Pass. So when I came here, they were in charge, and it was a fairly vibrant parish. It had a school, and one of the first things we ended up doing was we had to close the school because it just wasn't vital anymore in that neighborhood and so forth. So that was very painful for the people. So the next thing I noticed was there was a lot of partying went on there. Sacred Heart was a parish of parties. They had Mardi Gras and they had bingo, and that kept the school going. But after the school closed, they still had bingo, and so it was a bingo parish, you know, and a party parish. And they were nice guys. I liked them, but they were not the caliber of people that can really pastor a parish. And so there was a couple that I would see at every Sacred Heart event. The Strauchs.
Bob and Sheila.
And Bob and Sheila Strauch. I really liked that couple. They were so active, you know, and they gave so much of themselves to the parish. And one night we were at a gathering, a diocesan gathering, and Sheila broke down in tears. And she said, "We can't stand it any longer. And I had known that Sacred Heart was in trouble because at St. Mary's we were getting all the overflow. We were getting everybody from Sacred Heart that was busted. You know, they were through with it. And so I knew there was trouble there. So I contacted their provincial, and it was Father Mike Pfeiffer, who is now the Bishop of San Angelo, Texas. So I called Father Mike Pfeiffer and I said, "Mike, I don't think you can keep going here. We're not seeing pastoral quality." And he said, "You know, I hate to admit it." And he said, "They're going to kill me because they love it there, and they're going to kill me if we give it up." But he said, "It is a beneplacitum, you know, so I got to go to Rome, and I will for you."
Wow.
And I said, "Mike, I really appreciate it. I've always appreciated Mike for that, you know." So, because he took a hit from his own community. So, of course, the question is, we didn't have any priests. Where are we going to go, you know, if they leave? And so the next part of the story is, I was pastor at St. Mary's in those days. And I went over to say Mass at St. Mary's Cathedral on a Sunday morning. There was a nice looking priest, you know, in the sacristy, and said, "Bishop, I'm Father Nick Io, Provincial of Notre Dame, or Personnel Director."
Well, he was going to be the novice master.
Yeah, and I guess Nick was going to take that over.
Yeah.
He said, "You know, a woman in up the pass, up the Cascade, is going to give us her property for a novitiate if it's okay with the bishop." And I said, would you take a parish if we agree to this? And he said, oh yeah, we usually do. I said, good, I've got a parish for you. So that's how we settled the novitiate, you know.
That's great.
I said,
Yeah,
it'd be great to
yeah.
have you guys, and believe me, has been. So then, they took Sacred Heart
Right,
Parish,
right.
and that's how Holy Cross got there.
Yeah, so in 1984, of course, after the Colorado Springs became a diocese, we showed up then in June
Mhm.
of that year, and of course Clem and myself. And so, you know, from that moment on and through your friendship, relationship with Holy Cross guys, could you give folks kind of a flavor of what you see or what Holy Cross has brought to the parish?
Oh, gosh, yes. Well, I gotta tell you, I'm not summing this up, I'm just starting it off, but it's been a miracle. You know, not just for that parish, it's enriched this diocese. The presence of Holy Cross in this diocese is enriching for all of us. And so, when Father Clem came, let's see, the return on that is Ecum Spiritu 2.0, that must be heaven.
That must be.
So, so Father Clem, you know, came and he was just great, but he had a pastoral vision, and the people at OLPH and the people in Cascade didn't act like a real parish. They weren't taking responsibility for things. And so Clem actually threatened to close them. And so I was, of course, engaging with the people on occasion, a little bit concerned about that. And so I said, well, Clem, let's kind of look at this carefully and see how to do it. And he said, okay, I'll give them a chance to become a parish if they act like it. And so he laid down some ground rules for them, and I always admire him for that, because they are who they are today because he set some boundaries.
Yeah.
And they became a little more self-sufficient,
Yeah.
and then of course it became the tri-parish community, so
Right,
that they could
right.
get a sense of oneness. And that's been a joy. I watched Father Clem literally jog his way through cancer. It amazed me. 4:30 in the morning, running down Colorado Avenue in the dark through cancer treatments.
Wow.
And the guy's just great. He's still living, right?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's
Amazing guy.
97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys did a great job, and I remember now Bishop Bill Walk and his brother
Neil.
Neil
Yeah,
came here and wowed the girls, and I know some of those girls from the youth groups and stuff, and they thought Bishop Bill was a pretty cool dude. So those guys were great. They brought a great deal. You show up, and it's like old home week. You're back again.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Been
And,
back 8 years now. Yeah.
8
Yeah.
years. I don't need to hear that. But at any rate, 8 years and a lot of life in the parish for sure. I'll always be grateful for that. You know, and I love going up and being with the novices. So I'd go up and have lunch with those guys, and we would talk, and they'd ask me questions as if I knew the answers, and
Right.
I'd act like that.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I really appreciate about Sacred Heart, you know, throughout all the years, you know, being the first associate there in '84 and then coming back, is that the mission of Sacred Heart has always been intact. Like, it's always been a place in which people are welcome, in which the poor are served. Could you say something about that in terms of that place in relationship with the diocese?
Yeah, I can. This is an interesting thing. Sacred Heart has always been open, you know. I mean, people who didn't feel like they fit someplace else felt like they fit at Sacred Heart. I used to call it the refugium peccatorum, the refuge of sinners.
Right.
But it was a welcoming community, you know, and you weren't choosing a lot of discretion about what was there. And I know the gay community met there for regular Sunday Mass in the evening. I used to go over and celebrate Eucharist with them sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. And generally, people just went there, and it was always kind of interesting. This is a small diocese in a small city, it was in those days, and you could tell who was making it and who wasn't. So if Sacred Heart was making it, St. Mary's would kind of empty out. And if St. Mary's was making it and Sacred Heart wasn't, St. Mary's would load up.
Right.
So I could tell who was getting what.
Right.
Well, Sacred Heart took over, and it's been beautiful ever since.
Yeah. We are so delighted, to have this opportunity to celebrate our 100th anniversary. And so throughout this year, we're going to be speaking with a lot of folks, and we're so grateful that you joined us today. And my goodness, thank you for inviting us to Sacred Heart in the first place, and I am so incredibly grateful.
Me too.
Thank you so much, everybody.